I found this question on a group on Facebook. The writer says, I have a property with wind and hail damage with State Farm. It's an old, brittle, discontinued Tamco Heritage. I figured since it has damage on all facets, it would be an easy route for the discontinued argument rather than hail, wind, and repairability. Maybe I was wrong, as they responded with, the sample submitted was an older version of the Tamco Heritage and was 38 3/4 inches long. The current version of the Heritage is 39 3/8 inch long, but uses a 5 5/8 inch exposure. The current Heritage can be trimmed to length for use in repairing the roof. Anyone have a letter from Tamco about this? My emails to them didn't produce any helpful responses. Okay, so there's two big things here. One, you wanted to go a discontinued shingle route rather than hail, wind, and repairability. Here's the thing. If you're going to go a discontinued shingle route, if you're going to say, I can't make repairs because there's incompatible materials available, which is what you're trying to say when you're saying discontinued. There's different kinds of discontinued. There's discontinued colors, there's discontinued sizes, there's discontinued whole model lines. Just because something's discontinued doesn't mean that there isn't something compatible on the market. So when you make a discontinued argument, you need to explain what makes it incompatible. And there's three different things for asphalt shingles that make something incompatible. It's either the size, especially the exposure size, because trimming it width-wise, some manufacturers will allow that in certain situations. But the exposure can't be trimmed because that cuts into the area that is supposed to be sealed. So you have size, especially the exposure, location of the sealant, and type of sealant. If the sealant location has gone from the top middle to the bottom leading edge, then that won't work in a roof where everything is on the top center. Sealant location, and then nail zone. If the nail zone has changed and you install a shingle using the correct nail zone on the new shingle, but it misses the shingle below it on the old shingles because the nail zone is different, then you have a problem there as well. So those are the three compatibility issues: size, sealant location, nail zone. When you make a discontinued argument, if you don't have an incompatibility issue, then you're really just making a matching argument. You're trying to say it doesn't match because the color was discontinued. That isn't going to fly in a lot of states that don't have any matching statutes or case law or anything that's in the policy that allows for matching. So since there's damage on all of them, you said it's old, brittle, discontinued, but there's hail, wind, and repairability on this. Why not argue for the hail damages that are there to get full slopes at a minimum, wind damage, and then repairability? Repairability is a beautiful thing. If there is damage on every slope, making a repairability argument doesn't take a lot of effort. You just need to perform a repairability assessment and write a report for that. Just saying that something's discontinued when there might be something that is compatible available isn't going to really work out. It's not a very strong argument. So you start with repairability in those cases. You do need to know if there is something compatible available, but you can make a repairability argument in this case, especially since they're arguing that you could just cut it down to size. Now, the second thing that's on here is the carrier said uses a 5 5/8 inch exposure. So if that exposure is different than the old Tamco exposure that's on that roof currently, then there is an incompatibility issue. Even if you could argue, you could cut it down to size, which there's a lot of argument about that, but let's just say that it is allowed by Tamco and it maintains a warranty on the new shingle that's being installed. If the exposure is different, then it isn't going to seal properly. And if it doesn't seal properly, then it doesn't have the right wind resistance. And if it doesn't have that, then you're not making the policyholder whole again. You're not bringing them back to any kind of a pre-loss condition. You're putting them in a situation where they have a defunct roof. So those are the two main issues on here. I think that repairability arguments are very strong if they're done right. That's why we've created the repairability assessment certification courses, because we believe that if they're done right, that they will make a difference. You help the policyholder prove that the roof isn't repairable that way. And that's our entire goal, is to help them prove their loss. Just keep in mind, you prove it or lose it. That's why we started the Prove It movement. And that's enough on that. I hope that helps.